You just stand there all day and do nothing? She scoffed, pacing across the stage like it was her throne. Her glittering jacket shimmered under the spotlight as she mimicked the stiff stance of the royal guard positioned off to the side. Blink twice if you're alive, she quipped, earning a wave of laughter that rolled through the auditorium. The crowd loved her. Zara Lane, the sharp-tongued comedian who built her fame on wit and fearlessness, had turned the stoic, expressionless guard into the night's biggest punchline. She strutted in front of him, mocking his composure. Honestly, you've got the same emotional range as my ex. Silent, stone-faced, and zero eye contact. The audience roared again, some standing to record the moment. A few even pointed their cameras at the guard, waiting for him to crack, to flinch, something. But then something happened. A single step. Then another. Heavy black boots thudded against the stage floor. The laughter died. Murmurs rose. The guard, unblinking and composed, walked toward the mic. The room froze in disbelief. This wasn't part of the show. Guards didn't move. They never responded. He stopped just inches from Zara, faced the audience, and in a voice calm, deep and firm said, "I stand in silence, not because I have no words. I stand in silence because I carry the weight of history." The atmosphere shifted. Phones slowly lowered. The crowd's energy transformed from playful to reverent. Even Zara stood still, no longer smirking, her mouth slightly parted in surprise. I've stood in rain that sliced like blades, in heat that turned metal into fire. I've listened to people laugh, pose, taunt. And through it all, I never moved. Because my silence is not emptiness. It's duty, it's memory, it's respect for those who wore this uniform and never came home. You could hear the air shift, like the whole room had just realized it had been laughing at a gravestone. Zara blinked, her hands trembling slightly as she lowered the mic. Her voice, usually a weapon, was barely a whisper now. I didn't realize. I thought it was just a costume, a role." The guard nodded slightly. "It's not a role. It's a vow." Then, just as silently as he'd arrived, he turned and walked back to his post. Each step echoed with finality. The audience remained frozen, no longer watchers of a comedy show, but witnesses to a truth they had never considered. Zara slowly returned to the mic. Her shoulders weren't squared anymore. There was no swagger in her step, just a weight. "I tell jokes, I make people laugh. But tonight, I was the joke, and he was the punchline I never saw coming." She swallowed hard, voice thick. He stood there while I tried to tear him down, and he didn't move. Because what he represents is bigger than all of us. Backstage, the story deepened. What no one in that room knew was that Corporal Ellis Gray, the man behind the uniform, had once served in Afghanistan. He'd lost his brother to an IED blast. Silence, for him, wasn't just a part of the job, it was a way to hold on. Every minute he stood guard wasn't just tradition, it was remembrance. And for him, staying still wasn't about obedience. It was about never forgetting the one who couldn't stand anymore. Zara found him later, sitting alone, quietly wiping down his boots. Her voice broke as she approached. "You didn't have to speak," she said, "but I'm glad you did. You changed something in me tonight." He didn't look up, just kept cleaning. Sometimes silence speaks, but only if someone's willing to listen. As she turned to walk away, she paused, then looked back. For what it's worth, I'll never look at that uniform the same again. And that night, for the first time in her career, Zara's audience didn't leave quoting her best jokes. They left quoting the man who barely said a word. So silence isn't always empty. Sometimes it carries the loudest truths of all. Before we end this story, let us know in the comment, where are you watching from? If this story touched you, subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and drop a karma in the comments below.